This is going to sound like so much hate, and I swear it's not.
Let's start here. I think it's a good place to start. If you had to explain this NFL season to someone in one sentence, what would you say? How would you explain this NFL season in one sentence? And we can even say one word. We don't even have to say one sentence. Let's go one word.
One word, I would just say chaos. One sentence, I would say,
Or even a phrase.
You will not be able to pick two division winners correctly. Maybe one, but you will not be able to pick two correctly. NFC North, I don't think many people are picking the Bears. But the AFC East, I think some people are on the Patriots, but definitely not the majority of people. AFC South, we still don't even know. I think the Texans can still win the division. I'm not positive there.
I think with a Jags loss and a Texans win, they can win the division.
I think so. But if the Jags win it, I don't think many people would have said that in year one turnaround from 4-13 to 12 wins would have been in the cards. And then the AFC West is we still don't know. It could be the Seahawks, could be the 49ers. And if you told me that the 49ers were going to lose half their defense and a few offensive pieces in the process, you absolutely wouldn't have been able to pick that. It's like you could give this person as much information as you could, and they still wouldn't be able to pick it correctly. They would have no idea. They would be absolutely wrong. Would be all right, well, yeah, the Chiefs, Mahomes tears his ACL in week 14, 15. They're still probably a 10, 11 win team. Nah, they have 6 wins. What?
Yeah.
This whole season just seemed like it was upside down from every team, every standpoint.
Keen, word or a phrase?
My word would be even, and my phrase would be you're unable to bet it. So my word is even because I think the AFC has about 5 or 6 teams that you could say, to me, really, it's the NFC North team and the Chargers, just because I think their line won't hold up. But again, they've won games that I didn't think they were going to win. And other than that, I could make a case for all the other 5 teams being representing in the Super Bowl, and I can make legitimate arguments for them. And then in the NFC, it's just the NFC South team. And you could argue maybe Packers because of injury, but if they get people back, even then you could be like, well, they could even go on a run. And then other than that, I could tell you every one of those teams made the Super Bowl, and I have a legitimate argument for it. So, and then in the Super Bowl, I don't think it's a guarantee either conference wins. So I would just say the league is even right now, because I think 11 teams, realistically, I think 11 teams could be represented in the Super Bowl this year. Actually represented. And this isn't one of those years where it's well, if things go right from that, I just think 11 teams could be represented. No, not going right, not this or that, just 11. So that's that, and that's why it's unpredictable. You can't bet it. It's not a confident, oh, this will happen. Mahomes will be in the AFC Championship game was a bet you could make about every year, whether they got to the Super Bowl or not, or Tom Brady when that was going on. I just can't bet it. Just can't bet it. It's just a unbettable league right now, and it's a even league, which I love because it really adds to the every game you're going to want to watch in the playoffs. And even then, Panthers have played well at home. If they make it, they could maybe upset somebody. And then you never know. What if the Ravens do win? Lamar comes back, and now it's Lamar and Derrick Henry, and you're like, well, Lamar hasn't played well, but you never know if he could just have one of those games, and you're like, okay, or Aaron Rodgers tries to turn back the clock or something. I don't know. So, yeah, just even and unable to bet.
Yeah, I think we're all essentially going to be saying the same thing here, because my phrase would be nobody knows ball. anytime you think you have, I mean, you guys have essentially said this, but anytime you think you have a feel on a team or how the season's going to go or a team's going to go on a run here, it goes the opposite. I mean,
Yeah.
Patriots had what, 10, 11 game win streak? Who could have predicted that? Jags, the tear they went on the second half of the year. Who could have predicted that? Who could have predicted the Colts?
Broncos went on a
Broncos are still on it too.
Yeah, Broncos are still on a win streak.
They lost one game. They lost one game to the Jags. Other than that, they've won like 12 of the last 13 or 13 of the last 14, something like that.
For sure. Who could have predicted the Colts would have started off with a large lead on the AFC South and then lose their way out? And not only lose their way out, but you lose your starting quarterback, who was a reclamation project, to a torn Achilles. Okay, that's already weird. That's already just shitty. Then you got 44-year-old Phillip Rivers filling in for you. Nobody expected that. Nobody expected the Falcons to just beat the Rams last night. Like, took it to them. Still don't understand what happened last night. Everything Tim said with the NFC West having to do with the Niners and the Seahawks. Seahawks far exceeded my expectations. Niners, as banged up as they were last year, and partly because of their schedule, but look to still, I mean, again, in contention for the 1 seed. They might have a bye week, and they might not ever have to leave San Francisco. They could have a home Super Bowl. The NFC South, just everything that happened there. What a weird season. I think I said this in the group chat a couple weeks ago. It's truly going to be a snow globe playoffs, a snow globe Super Bowl. Like Keenan said, he's not wrong when he says there's legitimately 11 teams that can win the Super Bowl. Shake it up, put those teams in a snow globe, shake it up. Whatever 2 teams you get, NFC, AFC, I would not be surprised out of damn near any combination outside of, like Keenan said, the Panthers going to the Super Bowl or the Steelers going to the Super Bowl. Everyone else.
To me, the Chargers would be a little shocking, but if Herbert went on some heater, and that defense has been playing well, and Herbert goes on just some heater, I guess. But other than that, like, if you're like, okay, the Jags got there, the Texans got there, the Bills got there, the Patriots got there, the Broncos got there, I could give you the path and how it happened for all, like, how I would assume it happened for all of them. Same thing on the Eagles, the Rams, 49ers, Seahawks, Packers, Bears. Like, I could make a case for all of them.
I think there's one team that nobody's going to be picking to make it, and it's the NFC South representative.
Yeah.
Panthers, Bucks. I think they're just going to call it
100%. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
This happens in years where, like, there looks to be prohibited favorites. Like, this time last year, I could at least tell you, like, out of the AFC, it looks like the Ravens are the best team. They might not make it to the Super Bowl, but top to bottom, they look like the best team in the AFC. And the NFC, it looks like the Lions. Like, I was saying that at this time last year. It's probably the Rams as far as the NFC this year, but, like, with hesitation,
probably the Seahawks at this point,
right? Well, I mean, you could say the Seahawks, but I mean, they're within a game of each other. But, like, that's the thing. You can make an argument any single way you wanted to, whether it's the Bears, whether it's the Niners, like, whoever you wanted to, you could make an argument about it. I'd probably lean the Rams, but you can make an argument either way in the AFC too, between all the teams that are at the top there, between the Broncos, Pats, Bills, whoever. You can make an argument. Crazy season. Do we want the next prompt, or want to keep going on this? On the snow globe that it is this season. All right. Let's go. Keenan mentioned betting. Let's go most stressful team to bet on.
I got 2. I'm going to go one AFC, one NFC.
Fair enough.
The AFC is the Denver Broncos to me because every game they play is close. So, like, if you're betting win-loss, it's like, okay, they should pull it out, and they have pulled out most of the games, but, like, being down to the Giants and be like, are you kidding me? And then they come back, like, that's just a roller coaster of emotions. Same thing with the Eagles. And if you're betting spreads, it's like, okay, they should blow this team out, like they should blow out the Chiefs. And that Chiefs game is a tied game with 2 minutes left. It's like, so to me, that would be the most stressful team in the AFC. And I get there's other ways you could go with it, but that's the one I'll choose. And then the NFC would be the Eagles, because they can have a first half like that against the Bills. So it's like, okay, that offense is clicking, defense is shutting down. They're going to blow the Bills out. And then the second half, they have negative passing yards for the 3rd time this season. And it's like, really? That's going to happen? But a lot of the time they come out with a win. And then it's like, you've got to be kidding me. But then you also could have a loss where you had it to Dallas or you had a loss to the Broncos, as I just barely mentioned. So, like, you have those games where, like, oh, they're going to beat up on the Giants. The Giants dog walk them. So it's like that's just one of those teams where they're inconsistently consistent. So it's like you just don't know how to bet on them. So those are the two teams. You would probably find a better one in the AFC than the Broncos, but that was the one that comes to mind to me just because every game you can't confidently bet like a spread on them. Maybe the wins, but not a spread.
I agree. Definitely Denver, specifically because of the spread thing. Like, I don't know how many spreads they've covered this year. It's got to be like 1 or 2. They've been heavy favorites too. Like, I'm pretty sure they were 13.5-point favorites against the Chiefs.
Yep.
They win by a touchdown, but even then the Chiefs had a chance to score at the end, and it could have, made it a 3-point game or something
that
like
Washington Commanders game where
Yep.
they're up. On that one, I lost money on because I needed them to win by 6.5, and then it was the 4th down. They got the turnover, and then they did, and then it's the 4th down again, and then Terry gets open. It's like, golly, it was a roller coaster. I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Yep. From the NFC standpoint, I kind of wanted to say Eagles, but honestly, I don't find myself putting Eagles into many of my bet slips. It was Detroit. At times they look like they're the juggernaut. Like when they played the Ravens, you're like, okay, this is still Detroit. They still have the talent from last year. They can still score a ton of points. They can still just run all game long if they want to.
Yeah.
And then Jared Goff pumpkins. And then it's like, okay, well, now they're coming off a loss, and Dan Campbell is really, really good off of a loss. Oh, they lost to the Steelers. Like, what? How is that even possible? This is a team that they should have absolutely killed. And for most of that game, they didn't look competitive at all. And then on Christmas Day, like as prime time as it gets pretty much, other than the Super Bowl, Jared Goff has just such a bad game, and again, they just don't compete defensively or offensively, and it's just extremely frustrating. I really thought they were going to give it to the Vikings, and it was completely backwards. So
I would have to agree where the Lions probably bit me in the ass the most, where it's like, all right, I'll take them against this bad team at least, like to cover a big spread. Like I outline the Lions over the last 2 years, probably more than any other team, where it's like, all right, the line's 9.5 or 10.5. I'm gonna put it at 17.5. And oftentimes, it would come out fruitful. Not this year. Not this year at all. Like, I would take the Lions off of a loss. I would take in the AFC, I guess for me, it would be the Steelers at times, where it was like, all right, they don't have their shit together yet, but they're a well-coached team, or should be a well-coached team. Maybe Rodgers will have it together this week. Nope. That kind of thing. Not that I put a ton of money on the Steelers, because I really didn't, but it seemed like the times where I'd pick my spots with them would not come out well. The Jags at one point probably would have been a contender for me, and then all of a sudden they started winning, and then I bet them in the Chargers game where they blew them out. Like, I was happy about that game. Went against them in that Broncos game a couple weeks ago. Made everyone look like fools. But the real answer for this is not my personal answer, but the literal real answer for this would be the Chicago Bears. They are the cardiac Bears for a reason. They're always in one score
I got one
games.
more that would be there that would rival them, but go on.
What's that?
I have one more that would rival them, but you go on. The Atlanta Falcons.
I thought about them too.
They win when you thought they're going to lose. They lose when you're going to win. So it could be betting on them or betting against them. So you're like, Rams, I've got this. So you could even put like, we'll tease the Rams down 7.5 to a 1-point game. You're like, Rams easy.
Should got it.
Nope. Not at all. So like, that's the thing. Or you'll be like, okay, against the Panthers early in the season, Falcons look good. Got them 30-0. Oh, Bills going into Atlanta. You got fast track Bills. Atlanta wins. So it's just like the Falcons are, you bet against them and they're going to bite you. You bet on them, they're going to bite you. It's like, oh, they can beat the Jets, right? I get it. It's the Jets, though. Nick Folk kicked 51-yard field goal for the win. You're like, why can't I bet that? So for me, they're not there because I don't trust them enough. I can't bet on them. I can't. Bijan, he's going to kill today against the Dolphins. Nope, don't give him the ball. Bijan, he's not going to do much against the Rams. 210 yards of front scrimmage. It's like, what can you do? What can you do with this team?
All right, another team superlative here. What team do you guys would be a candidate for? They look good on red zone, but when you actually watch them, they weren't as good as they look on red zone. What would be, Keenan, who would be your choice for this?
My choice for the NFL. Give me just a second. Let me just pull up all these teams.
Let's go to Tim. Tim, if you got one, go ahead.
Tim, if you have one offhand, but I don't.
I think it's Philly. Like, they still have certain plays that come up on red zone where it's like, oh, A.J. Brown, 35-yard touchdown, goes up and gets it, makes a man miss, makes it in there. And then they don't show you that they scored 14 points that game and, like, somehow they won a stupid one or something like that. They've also just been involved in a lot of, like, stupid plays, like against the Rams, the blocked field goal to return it and win it. Like, they definitely have a lot of plays this year, but they are just not a fun football team to watch. And then I was going to say the Giants, because the Giants do have, at the beginning of the season, they were on red zone a lot. They had, they were scoring pretty good. They had highlights, and then like flies, their team just kind of went down, and here we are now. So, but yeah, I think it's definitely Philly.
I would say two teams, and it'd be the Packers. Just because I felt like the Packers a lot of the time you see them on red zone and you're like, okay, Micah Parsons sack on third down, or you'd be like, oh, Jordan Love with a dime, and those plays are just few and far between if you're watching the full game. And so, like, they might win 27-20, but they get their points in, like, very short stint increments, or maybe a long, like, it's just kind of weird. So that was one. And then the Cardinals would be the second one, because I just felt a lot of the time this year you saw highlights of them just putting up a point, like points here, points there. Like early in the season, every game was close. So you saw, oh, is this team actually like good? Then you watch and you're like, no, they're not. And then late in the season, it's like, okay, they're down a lot. And then it's like Jacoby Brissett's just chucking the ball around, and Michael Wilson looks like Marvin Harrison Jr. should look. And you're like, wait, what? What's going on? Trey McBride, most receptions for a tight end ever. And it's like, okay. Oh, there's another highlight for Arizona. But then you watch a full game, you're like, nope. Nope. That's not there.
I very much like the Packers inclusion. I think that's a good choice. That's a good choice because they disappointed me a lot. Even at full strength this year, they disappointed me a lot.
Yes.
Looked like they were rounding into shape here the last few weeks, but overall they disappointed me. But they were still, and maybe still are, a live contender. Eagles are a perfect candidate for this because they'll have an explosive play, and then that play will either result in a field goal or a Jake Elliott missed field goal. Especially the second half of the year. That offense was just anemic. Great team overall. Like, I cannot wait to talk about that team in particular as it relates to the playoff season. Atlanta Falcons are a prime candidate for this too. I mean, if you just limit it to red zone, you don't see the penalties, you don't see, all the miscues they have, all the just unforced errors that they have, the times they shoot themselves in the foot. It's ridiculous with this team how poorly coached they are. So they'd be my number one candidate for looks good on red zone, doesn't look good when you watch them in full.
Yep.
Literally, though, another literal example for this would be the Steelers, because they either have highlights, they either have amazing plays, or it's absolutely nothing going on in their game. Or they're getting scored on, too, especially early on in the season. So Steelers would be up there for me as well.
The Texans' offense would be there, too, sometimes, because I feel like you'll see highlights here and there from the Texans' offense, but, like, if you watch a game, they just don't seem to actually put together a lot of good drives. But you'll get, like, even in this last game, if you just saw, like, a red zone clip of it, you'd be like, oh, CJ, bomb. And then, oh, CJ, first quarter looking great. And then the second half, the offense just got stagnant. So, like, their offense specifically, because that defense always shows up.
Got a couple tough questions here. Let's go with this one first. All right, let's go back to week 1. All right, think about the narratives coming from preseason going into week 1. what narrative, like what just common football, whether you want to say media, whether you want to say football fans, what narrative do you think that we had going into week 1 that now in week 18 looks terrible? Aged like milk.
Sam Darnold was not going to be a franchise level quarterback.
That's a good one.
So like people were like, Seahawks aren't going to be that great. Say, is Sam Darnold really going to be a good, like, as he had a good season, but that's just Kevin O'Connell? No, Sam Darnold's actually good. Seahawks are actually good. So like that's the first one that comes to mind would be the Seahawks.
Yeah, put me in there. I thought they were just going to be average. Never necessarily thought.
Oh, I'm there.
Never necessarily thought Darnold was going to be bad, but I didn't see like. I'd say through 10 weeks he looked like at least a top 10 quarterback. Still looks top 15. Definitely has taken a dip, but I mean, definitely looks reliable at the least. Sam Darnold. So yeah, lump me in there with that too. Tim, what about you?
Well, we definitely had a pretty heated debate, not heated, but a debate on if Jalen Hurts was a top 5 quarterback. And that now looks like it's probably not the case. And then it started really, really strong, but the Baker MVP at the very beginning, we were all on board. Like through 4 weeks, we were like, yep, it's his award to lose.
And did he lose it?
Yeah.
And did he lose it? Oh,
crumbling
boy.
down really quickly.
He lost that. He said, I'm going to throw it to the other team. I don't need it.
Yeah. Those are the 2 that come to mind specifically.
One more comes to my mind real quick.
Go ahead.
I think the narrative on Dak Prescott's changed. I think going into the season, I think a lot of people were like, he's overpaid. There's like, is he really a franchise guy? Can he get you a win? Or is he able to do that stuff? And like at this point in time, I think people would feel very confident that Dak is maybe if he's not going to get you a playoff win, whatever, but you feel confident that Dak is going to play well in that game. And he's not the concern going into the game where, as in last year, if he was starting a playoff game, I think he would be the number one concern for that team. So I think the net Dak Prescott has changed his narrative a bit.
That's a great one. Yeah, I mean, put me number 1 with a bullet on that one. I was very much an anti-Dak Prescott guy. And now, like, I'm not going to say I'm his number 1 fan, but, like, I definitely think he's a reliable QB, right? I definitely think he's probably even a franchise QB. We'll see going into next year with Shoddy. But, which, by the way, very weird story coming out of Dallas with Trayvon Diggs and Brian Schottenheimer. I don't know what to make of that story.
And Trayvon Diggs in the same day as Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, that's a rough family day.
So the Digg family not jiving.
Did you guys hear the story with that real quick before I give mine?
Was Stephon or Trayvon? I don't know why I want to call him Trayvon Diggs right now.
I made the same mistake today too. Trayvon just flows off the tongue better, I guess. It's because we're paid.
It does after now Trayvon Henderson, like Trayvon Diggs.
Yeah. When you said Trayvon and Brian Schottenheimer, I don't understand what you're saying there. I just saw he got released.
So apparently he asked after the Commanders game on Christmas, it was in Washington or it was in Maryland. He wanted to stay there because his family's from that area. And apparently that's very common for them to do. Like it's very common for if you got extra time off.
Especially on Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, that's understandable.
Yeah. They said they had days off coming. Like everyone was going to go with their family. And he said, can I not go back to Dallas? Because the first thing I'm going to do in Dallas is catch a flight back. Catch a flight back to DC.
Yeah.
Brian Schottenheimer apparently said no. And then so Trayvon Diggs just stayed back anyway because he's like, what the hell? Brian Schottenheimer included went to Wyoming right after this. So people around the organization, I guess, are kind of confused as to why he turned that request down. And apparently it's a pretty normal request players make around this time. So I thought that was interesting. Who knows if that's actually true, but I think that's a very interesting story if so.
Yes, it is.
It is. My 2 takes, I know you're supposed to pick one, but if the 2 that stick out to me, one would be, and maybe it's because I was kind of anti on these trains going into the season, but one would be how bad the Saints were. People were making the Saints sound like a friggin' G League team. And then the Mike McDaniel thing. So many people were like, not only is he going to get fired early, but he's lost this team. And I just didn't understand it because they were 8-9 last year. I didn't understand. I don't know if I've ever really seen, and I'm not necessarily talking about you two because you two were definitely on this train, but like in the NFL media, I don't think I've ever seen that train of like, this guy not only is getting fired, but deserves to be fired. It was one of the weirdest things I've seen as far as a coach.
Deserve wasn't the word for me. I know you didn't say we were, but deserve wasn't the word for me. I just thought this team was going to be horrendous, and at this point, I thought he was just going to be gone. But yeah. I actually think he's a good coach. Like I just thought I didn't think he was going to be jobless forever. I thought he was just going to find a new spot. But
I didn't understand it because like last year with Doug Peterson with Tim, like the writing was on the wall. The writing was on the wall there, and like not many people were really talking about it. There were some people who were still trying to talk themselves into Jacksonville. I think others were like with Tim too. But this one with Mike McDaniel, like he had some drama with Tyreek going into the offseason, but the writing wasn't really on the wall either. It just seemed like the NFL media collective as a whole, or the podcasters, NFL fans, they were all like, fuck this guy. Like he's out of there. Like I was pretty weirded out by the situation. I never understood it. And he might, like you said, Keenan, he might ultimately still get canned on Monday. It seems like he's probably not, but I thought that was a pretty weird take. So maybe it does not age like milk, but right now it looks like it might age like milk.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with, all right, let's do this one. Then I'll give you guys a tough one. What team, I'm going to keep this to non-playoff teams. And if you want to name a playoff team, that's fine too. But what team are you already excited about for next year?
I got one, Timmy, if you
go ahead.
So non-playoff team is the Detroit Lions.
Yep.
Because but that's an easy one. I just think them in the fourth place schedule, just seeing what they're going to do in the off season, I think that they're going to be a very interesting team. And then to me, the team in like say the off season that I'm really excited, like I'm interested in, is the Bengals. I want to see like what just going to happen with Burrow. Like there's a 98% chance that he's staying in Cincinnati. Like to me, like I just don't think they're gonna like move on him. But like, what if the Dolphins say like here's 4 firsts and something, and like what? Wild. I'm just interested to see how many people we get reports on, pick up the phone and call the Bengals, and what the Bengals' response to that is. So I'm really interested to see what happens there. But if 98% chance that Joe Burrow's still in Cincinnati. I just think there's that little 2% chance that he might start like Giannising his way out. Like Giannis won't request a trade, but Giannis is like, well, maybe. And then like, I love Milwaukee, maybe, but I still love Milwaukee and love the people. And so like maybe Joe Burrow would be like, I'm from this area. I love it, but grass can be greener. And just say like comments like that where you're like, oh, maybe he's gonna. So I'm interested to see what the Bengals do.
I think there's definitely a lot of teams that you could definitely say.
Yep.
If we were looking at non-playoff teams, I am intrigued by the Saints. I think the Saints have put together a really good run these last like 2 months now.
They've been the best team in that division over the last like month.
It's sad that they're just, even if they win out, they're one game out. Like if they just started that 1 week earlier, they could be in contention to make the playoffs because they have looked better than the rest of the NFC South. They're going to have a decent pick. Let's see what they add. And then let's see Tyler Shuck might be offensive rookie of the year. Like it wouldn't be crazy if he just balls out in the last game.
How many starts does he actually have? It's like 7, right?
10 games played. He has 2,125 yards, 9 touchdowns to 5 picks with a 92.1 rating. So
that'll be the weakest ever.
He's mobile as well. It's just tough because there's nobody else like that's really standing out. Travion was doing great, but he didn't start until week 7.
It seemed like a word to lose at one point. I don't understand how 2 touchdowns, maybe. Like, just feed him some touchdowns over these past few weeks. And
Travion has a chance.
Oh, yeah.
So because the Patriots will be playing in case. I mean, I think they already said they're sitting Herbert this week. If I'm remembering.
Yep.
Yes. So there's a 98% chance, a 99% chance the Broncos are going to win that game. But in case, so like the Patriots will play obviously for the 1 seed just in case. Like if Travion goes for 140, which isn't out of the realm of possibility, he's already done it twice this season. He could get 1,000 yards rushing on the season. So he might, like 1,000 and about 10 total touchdowns for a running back could get it done. Like that could be just like he could get it, but like it might be Tyler Shough, which is kind of crazy.
Or if we were a real football league, we'd give it to Will Campbell or some sort of offensive lineman that showed out.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they should do. They would never do it, but they should give it to an offensive lineman in situations like this specifically, where there's not a position player. Teams that I'm excited about next year, my answer would be the Saints, because I do think they could be like the Panthers of this year. And I think like unless you get a bona fide like number 1 guy in that division as far as a head coach, that we're going to continue just getting this lunacy and chaos in the NFC South. So that being said, like if I'm not limiting it to the Saints, I'm kind of looking forward to this entire NFC South next year, to be honest with you. I'm going to limit it to the Saints, but I'm looking forward to the entire NFC South and what could happen there. And I agree with you, Keenan. The Detroit Lions against a 3rd or 4th place schedule, hard not to like see good things coming from them, especially if they get a play caller there. I'm very intrigued by the Vikings too. I've been pretty anti JJ McCarthy as far as like in contrast to Sam Darnold, in comparison to Sam Darnold. But if he comes along next year, like if he's better in year 2, or if they bring in someone to compete with him, that's going to be a tough team. And we already know that division is going to be tough with Micah coming back and, everything that I just mentioned, the Lions, everything that is the NFC North. So those 2 divisions in particular, the NFC North and the NFC South, mainly the Saints, though. I think the Saints could make some noise next year.
I also want to say Ted McMillan's 70 yards away from 1,000. He's the favorite to win it right now.
Crazy.
On FanDuel at minus 135.
Yeah, I think Shough is like plus 110 or something.
He's like 145 on FanDuel as of right now. Obviously, whatever book you get, it's different. Also, something that's interesting to me, he's plus 380 right now, but I think it'd be a really good bet if you want to put something on it. Christian McCaffrey for Offensive Player of the Year over Jackson Smith and Jigba. Like, I think that's like he would get my vote right now over Jackson Smith and Jigba. And I get both. Like, I do get both, but like, Christian McCaffrey, I don't think he's going to get 110 yards receiving in the next game. It's possible. Is it possible? Sure. Especially against a Seahawks team that's going to be pressuring, so you can just kind of get the ball to him a lot. But that would be 1,000. One of a few backs, I think 3 backs ever to go over 2,000 all scrimmage yards 3 times in your career. So like,
what's Puka's
he's
odds
having
there?
Puka's odds are plus 1,400, and I think it's because he got injured during a little portion of the season. So it's like just specifically because of that, I think his is down because he's right now 100. Oh my gosh, he could get it too because he's 119 catches for 1,639 and 9 touchdowns. And Jackson Smith, if you give me just a second, I'll tell you what he is. He is 113 for 1,709 and 10 touchdowns. So really, I don't know why. Like they should be close to each other. I mean, Puka has 6 more catches. He has 80 less yards and 1 less touchdown. That's in the receiving front.
That's insane.
So like they're really close.
Where's Bijan right there?
Bijan is 4th on it and plus 5,000. And I think these guys are ahead because those are like 12, 13 win teams, and they're kind of factoring in how they're going to winning. And then Bijan is that, but Bijan's also been somebody who's had he's 1445 and 7 touchdowns when it comes to just rushing, and then receiving wise, he's 810 yards. So I don't think he's getting 190, but he's 190 away from going 1,000 himself.
Don't put anything
You're right. And so it's really interesting because I think Bijan, No, he didn't do it last year. He was so close to doing 2,000 last year. He's got 2,000 this year, and I think he could be a guy who could do it 3 times in his career. Like, he might do it the next 2 years. He's that good if he gets the ball enough.
All right, I had you guys look back to week 1. Now I want you guys to look ahead to we'll say 2030 or 2031, since we're right on the cusp there. We'll say 2030, December 30th, right? And if you're looking back to this 2025 season, someone asks you about it, what is the one game you'll remember from this regular season?
I need to. This one's a tough one for me.
It's hard. It's hard not to have recency bias. You know, like there's definitely been some great games earlier in the year.
Like Ravens, Bills, week 1, Seahawks and Seahawks,
start.
Rams,
just
barely.
Even the 49ers Bears game that just happened, like that was an
Bears Packers shootout. Just because of that ending.
Good ending.
Like that, because you'll remember that. For me, it all depends on what happens, because like I could think back. We're just giving a random scenario, and this is obviously me being a Patriots fan too. Say the Patriots win 2 Super Bowls, Drake May wins an MVP, and the Patriots are perennially a top team. I will think back to, for me, that Bills game that kind of started to put them on the map, and where I thought, oh, this team is real. So like, but that's me being a Patriots fan and be like more my fandom kind of thing. So, but overall, the game that I would have would probably be Bills Ravens week 1, and it's because, to me, either that or the Seahawks game, and to me it's because star power you remember. And then the Bills come back, Derrick Henry having a huge game, but the fumble at the end, and then like star power you remember, and high outputs you remember. So, which is also why you might remember the 49ers, the Seahawks and the Rams. Stafford 457, 3 touchdowns. Puka 12 for 225 and 2 touchdowns. The Rashid Shaheed punt return. Sam Darnold, that 2-point conversion, the weird one. So like that game kind of had a little bit of everything you would ask for. And then the Packers Bears, just because of that ending. Caleb making that great throw at the end, because that reminded me so much of 2014 Seahawks and Packers when they lost that game.
Keenan, I appreciate you describing Rams Seahawks, because I missed, as I told you, like nearly every minute of that game. So I appreciate the in-depth description, because I missed all of it. So thank you very much.
I thought you were being sarcastic for a second, but then I realized you're actually just upset you missed the game. Yeah, I forgot that
it's both sarcasm and appreciation. It's both of them mixed into one. Tim, if you had to choose 1 or 2, what would they be?
I do think that Seahawks Rams game, it's hard not to pick a game that doesn't go to overtime. Usually when a team goes to overtime, it's a little bit more exciting. So to see that, and then to see not only the Rams get their touchdown, but the Seahawks also get a touchdown, and then they choose to go for 2 to win it, like that's even more exciting. So I think that is probably one of the games of the year. And then it would be a mix between the Cowboys-Packers game was actually pretty good, too.
That was a good one.
Yes.
40-40. Yes. It was a tie, so we didn't really get it was kind of anticlimactic.
It's also a tie, so you remember the tie.
Exactly.
Remember that tie game? That stupid tie game?
Yeah, one tie that happens every 3
Micah
years.
came home. Like, Micah visited back, so, like, Micah came home. And so, like, that random stupid tie game.
But, yeah, it is tough. I think that Seahawks Rams game is like the one. I did bring it up, the 49ers Bears game. I did enjoy that. Tons of big plays, constant scoring. The only game in NFL history where they were tied at every touchdown marker up until 35-35. So,
Keenan, it was funny that you mentioned, and Tim, I think you mentioned this too, as when I asked this question. You guys both mentioned Ravens Bills. And I thought that was interesting, because when we came out of that game, I remember thinking to myself, like, will we see a better game this season? Like, we probably will, because it's week 1. Like, there's got to be. And you can make a strong case that we didn't. Definitely the Seahawks and Rams had more stakes, and sound like just as much action happened. Again, wouldn't know. I missed it. One of the only games I missed this season. Would have thought. Shouts to Canada. But week one, I mean, that was just a fantastic game. That game felt like a playoff game, and it was crazy comeback. You had the Derrick Henry fumble, which, as we thought at the time, that was like not going to be a thing, and then it actually ended up being a trend. So I don't know. It's a funny game to look back on for sure, and it was definitely one of the best watches. The two games I'm going to pick are actually from the same week, which I didn't even realize. These are both from week 10. They're the two that jump off to me weirdly before the Ravens and Bills. I would throw that in there as well, as you guys mentioned. But one would be the Bills versus the Bucks. I think it was 44-32. It was the Josh Allen 6-touchdown game. That was one of the best watches I've seen. That was an absolutely chaotic game on all sides of the coin. From the Bills, Baker played great that game. I think Baker threw a pick 6, or there was a weird fumble 6. Something happened in that game. There was just chaos at every turn, points at every turn in that game. That was one of my favorite watches. And then the primetime game that week, do you guys remember what it was? Week 10.
I don't. Which primetime slot?
Was this the Patriots-Bills first game?
No, this was actually...
No, that was like week...
This was Lions-Eagles in the snow. That was one of my favorite games, weirdly. It was a slop game.
Oh!
It was a... What's up?
So you keep going on. I'm just getting more games, but keep going.
Okay. I can't wait to hear. So, yeah, no, Lions-Eagles in the snow. Jared Goff played awful. I think partly because of Dan Campbell's play calling, honestly. Gibbs was great that game. It was another Eagles jail ball game, but it was kind of fascinating for me to see how, as a dome team, the Lions still kind of kept up, but couldn't all the way close the deal. So it was a very interesting game to me at that point, thinking the Lions would be in the postseason, being like, oh, how's this going to what's this going to look like if they go to Green Bay or Chicago in the playoffs or wherever? So, and it was at that point, too, when I really started to kind of get some questions about Philly, because I thought they could have took more advantage of what was going on in that game. But again, weirdly, Detroit's defense, which has been banged up for weeks, kind of hung around in that game. So, yeah, those are two games that are kind of opposite ends of the coin that stuck out to me.
Broncos-Giants, obviously the huge comeback.
Yep.
Steelers-Bengals in that same week, because that was the Joe Flacco first game in Cincinnati. That Thursday night game where Flacco goes for 342 and 3 touchdowns. Chase has 16 receptions, and Mike Tomlin was like, I can't believe you trade in division.
Why would you trade in division?
Why would you trade? Why would you make that trade? And
I actually missed that quote from Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, no,
he
was livid. Joe Flacco got traded to the Bengals before they came, and that's why.
I don't know why you trade
a
quarterback to a quarterback needy team in division. Blah blah blah.
And then speaking of the Bengals, the Jets game, the Bengals are just memorable this year because like the Jets game, that the airing, and then the Bears game next week. It's like, oh, they come back, and then the Bears get that big Loveland play. So you could you could also point to the Bears for like a lot of these. So I'm just thinking if there's a lot of memorable games, but obviously the first one for me that comes to mind is Bills-Ravens or the Seahawks and Rams game. But overall, I think there's a lot of games that you could be like, oh, because the Giants comeback was like, are you kidding me? How did that happen? The Bills did 6 touchdown games, like 6 touchdowns again. Like you've done that twice in your career now. So just things like that.
All right, fellas, last question.
Do an autogram.
Pretty simple one. Give me your favorite moment of the season and your least favorite moment of the season.
Favorite moment of the season. Mine's yet to come. But we're going to be just obviously off of what I'm believing and what I'm betting. But mine's yet to come. But as of right now, my favorite moment of the season, for me personally, obviously as a fan, would actually be the Patriots win over the Bucks. Because that was the moment I was like, we are the team. Like that was my moment where I was like, oh, this, because at that point we thought the Bucks were like a real team. And then and I was like, oh, going to Tampa, they won that game, the big play to Kyle Williams, Travion Henderson. So I was, as a Patriots fan, I was so incredibly pumped. And I was like, yes, finally we're here. Like that felt good. So as a Patriots fan, that, as a non-Patriots fan, my favorite moment of the season. I'm not sure if I can't think. I'd have to think. I'd actually like, go through and think about some moments here.
What about least favorite?
And then my least favorite moment of the season, I'm gonna kind of couple it would be just the quarterback injuries. I hate Joe Burrow going down made me upset because the Bengals, though they didn't look great, they were 2-0, and I was like, you got to be kidding me! Like this is the, and then now it makes me even more upset because I'm like, if they're there, they might have ran away with the division possibly. Like we obviously don't know how these games go, but it's like okay, we could be getting Joe Burrow in the playoffs. Obviously, I know was down at the end of the season. They really weren't like live for the playoffs anymore, but you don't love seeing like Mahomes tearing his ACL, Daniel Jones with the Achilles and things of that nature. So those are the things for me, injuries.
What you got, Tim?
One thing really early in the season I enjoyed watching was the Titans get their first win against the Cardinals.
Oh my God.
It was just a game that it was like, okay, for the Titans to win, about 10 things would need to go completely correct. And then they all just started happening, and it was just a downfall. It was a fun game to watch. Because at the time, I believe the Cardinals were like, they were either 2-1 or 2-0. And it was like, this could be a good Cardinals team. And I was very on the side of they had easy competition for the first 2 weeks. They are not a good team. And that just kind of proved it to me.
Yeah.
As for things that I hated, it's easy to say injury because obviously nobody wishes injury, but it does change the game completely. This week in the Tank Bowl, the Toilet Bowl, the Giants just blowing out the Raiders. Like I knew that was going to happen. I don't know how many people picked them to win out of our 4, but I knew I was going to pick them to win because if there's any game that they shouldn't win, it's this one, and they did. There was one more. It was honestly just what happened to the Colts because it's actually like a really crazy story that they start 8-1, and then things start to slip. And I think it was 8. They were 8-5, and at that point is like playoff pictures starting to shape up. And there were from that point on, there were 16 football games that happened in the AFC that could have benefited the Colts in their playoff ventures. And not a single game ended the way it was supposed to benefit them. They got unlucky on every single game. Not only did they lose, I think 3 of those 16 games were their games where they lost, but the Texans went on a hot streak. The Jaguars got hot at the same time. So both teams just started to really put a two-game cushion on them. And then the rest of the AFC playoff picture when it comes to wild cards was just out of reach. So although it was good to see Phillip Rivers come in and honestly give us some entertaining football, that whole situation, I just feel so bad for them because like it wouldn't shock me if they were like, sorry, Shane, you gave it a good run, 3 years. We just didn't get any postseason from you. See ya. That wouldn't be crazy that they move on from him. But it's like not his fault at all. You know, like I honestly think they probably would be a playoff team if Daniel Jones didn't get hurt.
Sauce Gardner's like 2
they
and
trade
14.
they trade
Sauce
for
Gardner's
Sauce,
like 2 and
then
14
he
this
immediately
year.
gets hurt and doesn't
He would
play
have the
like
number 1
any
pick.
games for them.
Yeah, no, like because like he was 1-7 with the Jets, and then like 1-7 with the Colts, or 1-8 with the Colts. So he's like 2-14, 2-15 this season, which is tough. Which is tough.
Very anti-Sauce.
Yeah, now,
Sauce.
Yeah, no, yes, and now that trade looks a little like. I mean, you give up all that because they were kind of going all in for this season. But I mean, obviously, you still have them for next season, but you don't know what the quarterback situation is going to look like. So you go all in for this season, and it's like, we can't even make the playoffs, let alone try to make a run. So that trade now, they're like, okay, cool. The Jets, if the Jets don't jet, which they will, so I'm not worried about it, could be good. They have the draft picks. They have a couple offensive pieces. Like they could. Their line's not terrible. They just they could be good, but I'm not worried because they're the Jets. And as I always say, I don't mind the Bills at all. They don't bother me, never have. The Dolphins, I respect them. I don't love them, but I respect them. Don't like the Jets. Jets suck.
Fuck them.
Literally couldn't care less about the Jets. That's the number one rival. Don't like the Jets at all. Nothing about them. I'm like, yay, Jets. Love it. Nope. Nothing about them.
Real quick, Keenan. Shouts to the hype is real, guys. I asked them because they're big Browns fans. I asked them at one point in the season, I'm like, do you guys hate the Ravens? Because I don't know if you guys know the story, but like the Ravens are actually the original Browns, right?
Yeah.
They moved, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, do you guys hate the Ravens for like taking the Browns? Because that would be a completely reasonable reason to hate them. Like Sonics fans probably hate the Thunder, right? And they were like, no, like we actually like a lot of their players. Like we don't have any problems with the Ravens. Bengals, honestly, we don't really think about, but they're like everybody in this division hates the Steelers, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes complete sense.
I know.
Yeah, I agree with
I hate them too.
Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah. Tim hates the Steelers.
So I was to say yes, and then Timmy, you're also a hate the Cowboys guy, right? Do you hate the Eagles?
Yeah, how's it
I hate what the Eagles have become. There was a point where I was like in on the Eagles, like through the first Super Bowl with Nick Foles, and then this next one they made against the Chiefs. I was like rooting for them. Even at this point, I hate the Eagles. They're just boring to watch. I think it's more of like this era of the Eagles that I hate.
Rather than
Yeah. I don't think I hate them the way you hate the Jets, but yeah.
I hate the Jets
Cowboys,
logo. Like seeing the Jets
the
logo
Cowboys.
makes me sick.
Yeah.
It makes me just want to vomit. So yeah. The Cowboys though makes you just want to vomit. I can't blame you.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like the Bills are kind of like they're like the annoying little cousin, and not even annoying in this case. They were like the downtrodden, like drug addict little cousin. Actually, no, the Jets are the drug addicts. Who am I talking about? The Bills were like
I'm rooting for like. I'm not rooting for their success, but if they succeed, I'm like, good for you.
Pat on the back, you know.
Yeah, like a pat on the back.
Bills were like the cousin who had like
you deserve
3 divorces, kind of thing, and it's like they all ended terribly. It's like, how did that happen? Jets, they're like the drug addict cousin. But no, that's not fair because I love watching the Jets not succeed. So
they're the person that comes to like family functions. They're loud, obnoxious, rude to everybody, and you're like,
and threw up on the Thanksgiving table.
You lost your job. It's so unfortunate, man. Oh man, your car got towed. Rat. That sucks. Like, you deserve it. And then the Dolphins to me are just that cousin you never see.
Dolphins are just irrelevant. Like, the Dolphins have been.
No, that's what, just the Dolphin. The
which
cousin
is weird
because
they've had like meaningful
now.
players throughout the years, but they're like they don't feel 100%. Like they're actually a part of the AFC East. They're like their own.
Well, no,
thing.
Because every other team's close, and then they're like all the way down in Florida.
Yep, that's part of. That's definitely part of it. And weirdly enough, like they're a historic franchise. That's the weirdest thing about them. They're like to a certain generation. That's like kind of like the Raiders too. Raiders are a classic franchise. They just don't have much to show for it over the last 25 years. Mm-hmm. Quick, because I didn't give my favorite and least favorite moment actually, and maybe this is like. Maybe I'm a grandfather. I don't know. But it was Phillip Rivers coming back. I thought that was the coolest story. He actually played pretty well in his 3 games, specifically the last 2. And I don't know. It just kind of exceeded my expectations. And he obviously would not survive an 18-game season or a 17-game season. But he more than could play in this league. And it just makes you wonder, like, what other aging quarterbacks could do that, because it's not like he was out of the league for 1 or 2 years, and he was even kind of tossed around as like a potential comeback guy a couple of years ago for some injured quarterback teams, and for him to come out 5 years and not be in game shape, and he still looked 80% of what Phillip Rivers once was. That's kind of crazy, and it does make you.
I don't think many of the greats could. Just thinking about it. Like, I don't think because I'm just thinking about how all of their careers ended with their arms. And, like, Peyton, Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Brees, they all couldn't throw. It felt like they couldn't throw 20 yards. I mean, Phil Rivers felt like he couldn't throw. They threw Riley Leonard in for the Hail Mary because it's like, he doesn't have the arm for that anymore.
He literally couldn't get the Hail
It was like, he literally can't do.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting. I'm just thinking of, those guys. I'm like, I don't know.
There's
Tom, I really think would come in and be like a top 8 quarterback. I still think
8.
Tom's like
top 8's crazy.
I think
Top
he can be like.
18.
I definitely think he can play.
top 10.
I definitely think he can play. I don't know about top 8.
I don't.
But-
You would have
don't
to
know.
change the entire scheme on whatever team he's going to.
You're right. You're
Running
right.
back
But
is,
here's it's my, and this
always
is probably
pass protecting.
You're fair. It's my irrational confidence in Tom Brady that I'll always have forever. But I'm like, him or Sam Darnold?
That's funny. I was literally just about to give you Darnold. You think it's a toss-up, Darnold now over 48-year-old Tommy?
So here's the thing. I think for a season, I'm like, sure, I'd give you Sam. But I think for a playoff run, I don't know. I don't know.
It would be very.
He still looks like
It would be
he
very,
has zip.
very contingent on the offense for me.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you would need to build
Like-
you would need a very good offensive line. You need weapons
like Brady could have
he can't
succeeded
do
in
more with
Indy,
a-
like Phillip did. I think that's a good one.
he can't do more with less.
Brady with Kyle
anymore.
Shanahan,
But
I would love to see that. I would love to have seen him in the 49ers.
could you right now? Do you think that? I mean, he's not as good as Stafford. Don't get me wrong. Stafford's obviously there, but in the Rams offense, you think Brady couldn't succeed? I think Brady would be. I think they go from being one of the favorites to a dark horse contender. To me, with Brady, that's my rational confidence in Brady.
That's exactly
they go
why
from,
I don't.
a favorite to a dark horse.
That's exactly why I don't understand why Rodgers was so I'll go to the Steelers. I get there wasn't really many options for him, but going to the AFC North of all divisions, that's why would you go there as an aging quarterback? Imagine if that's Phillip Rivers going to Cincinnati instead of Indy, what that looks like. He probably still has success with Chase and Higgins, but it's going to hurt a hell of a lot more, especially behind that offensive line. He wouldn't have survived the offensive line.
All I got to say, last thing I want to say, because we talked Sam Darnold, all I got to say is this. Minnesota had a chance to get Aaron Rodgers.
They could have.
They said
no.
They said no, and he wanted to go to Minnesota over Pittsburgh at that point. I think it really came down to Pittsburgh was the only option, that he was really going to be in a situation where he had a chance to win. I'm just saying right now, Minnesota might be a playoff team if they have Aaron Rodgers because they have a better offensive line. They've got some running back talent. I know Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason are phenomenal. They're playing in a dome. And you've got Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison.
I was so ready.
TJ Hawkinson with a good defense.
I was so ready for that story to be a thing.
They're 8-8 with Max. They're 8-8 with JJ McCarthy and Max Brosmer as your quarterback. You're trying to tell me they couldn't get to 10 wins? They couldn't get one more singular or 2 more wins because the Packers only have 9 right now. They couldn't get 2 more with Rodgers. That's all I'm saying.
Least favorite moment. I'll be quick because there's been a long gap in between my answers, but the injuries, like Keenan said, specifically Burrow, losing him for a large
Burrow
portion,
was the one for me.
Completely, submarine their season, and then Mahomes too, because not only did Mahomes get injured on their last drive, but they still had a chance. When he got injured, they still had a chance to at least save their season. They still would have needed a ton of help, but if they go down and score there, they're still in that game. They still have a chance to win that game. They still have a chance to at least make the playoffs. They still would have had to have won out. But it robbed us the chance of at least seeing Mahomes trying to keep his season alive, along with the Chiefs' season alive.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Specifically Burrow and Mahomes, their 2 injuries. And as Tim said, Daniel Jones, because it was kind of cool to see him reclaim or, get back to, or actually not even that, exceed our expectations. Because he had one successful season with the Giants, and we're kind of like, oh, that's Brian Daboll. And he actually looked like the real deal for parts of the season. So hopefully he comes back out.
Because if they win that game and they say they just went out for this, it would be a situation right now because they would have beaten the Chargers where the Chargers would have to win in Denver this week to be in the playoffs because I think they'd have the same record and the Chiefs actually I think would have had the tiebreaker because they lost. They would have it'd end up going to common opponents because I think they both have the same division record. So it would have been not that I think it would have happened because I think that the Broncos are better than the Chiefs and the Chiefs weren't playing well enough, but you never know. And so a guy like the guy who was Mahomes level, they might have And if they get to that point, you're like, they may make the playoffs. And if they make the playoffs, then it's like, oh, okay. But never. Yeah.
Fellas, 2 more days. 2 more days of the regular season, then we get the playoffs. This was our little recap of the week, or excuse me, of the 2025 regular season. We've got 3 more games of importance. I cannot wait. We had some highs this season. We had some lows this season. We had some big moments. We had some less than big moments. Had some sad moments. But guess what? It was the friends we made along the way in this 2025 NFL regular season. We will be back. We will have a ton of playoff content next week. I cannot wait. This is where we make our bones, right? We had a great time with the regular season predictions back in August, back in September. We're going to be back at it next week. It'll be January. It'll be 2026. It's playoff time.
Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
So
Happy New
I
Year
hope
to
everyone
everybody.
has a fun, safe New Year. They enjoy themselves. They go out, have a good time, and then we get to enjoy this week 18. Will the Panthers make the playoffs? Will the Steelers or the Ravens make the playoffs? It'll be interesting to see some of these games. Who will get 1 seeds? It'll line everything up, and then we can officially talk matchups, who's going to win, why they're going to win. So a lot of seeding and a lot of movement there within the playoff brackets to be had for this week, which are going to matter a lot for everything moving forward. But everyone enjoy themselves. A good New Year. Warner Brothers Podcast, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, all at Warner Brothers Podcast. Appreciate you guys, and we'll be seeing you guys again very soon.